Hello and Shabbat Shalom. We are in the Book of Numbers still, but we are finishing it. We are now in the last portion of the Book of Numbers, the Book of Bamidbar, the Book of the Desert. We are in the portion of Masei. Masa is a journey in Hebrew. Masei is multiple journeys. And we are now, in a way, celebrating the completion of the Israeli nation journey through the desert. Now, we had to receive the teachings of the godly will in the desert, in a no man's land, in this deserted place that belongs to nobody, and an environment of nothingness that humans are not supposed to live in or cannot live in without God interference in their life. And to be a Jew is, in a way, to be familiar with this concept of desert or this concept of a deserted place, because we are not really seeing God, or even from time to time it's hard for us to even perceive of his presence, especially now in those times of the 3 weeks between the 17th of Tammuz and the 9th of Av. So we are familiar with this feeling or emotion of deserted place, knowing that there is a God and not really able to grasp or to understand his true notion or his true interference in our life. And also we need to live under the conscious mind that is aware of the importance of a journey, of every journey, and especially the journey that we're having with the Torah portions. Now, that is how the Jewish story began, the journey. When Abraham first heard the words Lech Lecha, that were calling him to leave the place that he'd been back then, and to start traveling to an unknown place, to a place that God promised him. God, when back then, was a force that Abraham did know nothing about and was completely new to humanity. And that is exactly how this story now of Moshe and the Israeli nation began. But this time, we don't have the little family of Abraham. The little family have become an entire nation that is now having this journey that Abraham began from the beginning. And in this Parashat Masei, we read about how the Israeli nation set out from one place to the other place, set out from this other place to a different one. The Israeli nation have had 42 different stages in this journey of 40 years. And we know that Israel had one journey, the journey from Egypt to the Promised Land. And once they went out from Egypt, it's Mitzrayim, it's Mitzar, it's a narrow place in Hebrew. It's a place where you have a lot of boundaries, a lot of things that you cannot do or you're not supposed to do. And you're feeling intensely, everything is in borders there. So once they went out from Egypt, they immediately went out from this narrow place to a wide space of the unknown, to a different place that they're not used to. So if we're talking about the one journey, then why is this portion is called Masei in plural, multiple journeys? Well, that is because maybe the journey is a graduated process. From gates of impurity, the children of Israel have had to climb through gates of purification in order to achieve worthiness and to become a greater nation. Instead of being the infant nation that they were before, now they needed to somehow understand how to work together with the divine, to work together with themselves, to collaborate, to be devoted to God, and to be dedicated for a cause of this journey of going towards the promised land. The Lubavitcher Rebbe says that a journey steps are there to educate us that every human being possesses the essence to always walk and to never stand still. The fact we manage to get from one place to the other place does not mean that we can stand still, does not mean that we can rest. It only means that we need to play a role in everyday life in order to continue this graduated process, in order to continue this trying to be a better person that we used to be, to become a better son, a better daughter, a better grandson, friend, colleague, better in everything that we do. These graduated steps of the journey, this process is there to help us achieve a better a better notion of ourselves. We know that the Jewish nation is a nation that doesn't stand still. We do not stand still. We always on the move. Humans in general are always on the move. We are a nation from whom time itself is a journey through the circle of the year, a journey through the parashot, the portions of the week, a journey through the holidays, through this period of time of the 3 weeks we are just in. We are always in search for a promised land. Masei portion is not only the journey of Israel, but it's also, in a way, we can say, a journey of God himself, of the relationship between God and Israel. This journey built up the relationship between the nation to its God, making him the king, making them the ones that needs to listen to the king. It's almost as if we're not definitely sure whether it was the God that tested us or we that tested him in this journey of the desert, where so many elements have happened, and we had this 42 stages or steps of this journey. And as we know, the promised land also is an elusive place. Like we learned at the Zohar, perspective of it is that the land is the godly will, the will of the above, the will of the divine. And so this journey, in a way, it's the journey for us to comprehend better, maybe, or to try to educate ourselves how to reach the godly will, how to do what we're supposed to do, and not necessarily what we want or what we think that we need. Now, in a sense, a journey is a theme we are familiar with in the world of myth. In many cultures, stories are told about the journey of a hero. In myth, the hero is usually a lonely person, encounters a major trail, an adventure. He fights dark forces, he fights shadows, he fights a dragon, he rescues a princess, he have a treasure, he meets a witch. The hero venture forth from the world of common day to a region of supernatural wonder. Fabulous forces are that encountered, and a decisive victory is usually won. In myth, the hero is will always come back from this journey, from this graduated process he just been through, with a power he did not possess before, a power he needed to obtain or to achieve in great difficulties. And so does the Israeli nation. We've been through the desert. We started as an infant nation going out of Egypt, knowing nothing about ourselves and knowing nothing about the world, except of maybe making buildings and how to be slaves. And now we need to follow through this journey in the process of the desert, to build within ourselves some sort of a force we did not possess before, just like the hero. But in the story of the Israeli nation, the hero is not a one person, it's not a one man, but it's an entire nation. The nation does not fight the supernatural world or trying to battle unnatural forces, but rather uses them for her own benefit. The Jewish story is different than that of the myth. Definitely. The adventures of the Israeli nation encounters are within themselves. Our fears, our weaknesses, our constant urge to return to the familiar, to return to Egypt, nowadays to return to the place where we can build our temple and we can live all together happily ever after, right? And this is including points in time where the belief that we can do this was put forth to the test, like this 3 weeks we are in, from both sides, from the human side and from the godly side. When engaging in Torah study, we are accepting to have this relationship and to have this divine journey with the relationship with Hashem, including the ups and downs of it, including all difficulties we face. The Torah is not a myth. It takes the magical elements from the story and focusing relentlessly on the human drama of courage versus fear, of hope versus despair, and of belief versus the lack of it. Did he tested us, God, or did we tested him? We are in a constant, it's a constant dance between us and the Creator, and especially in this time of the 3 weeks. The story of the Torah is not some larger than life figure. It's the story of all of us together in day-to-day life. It wants us to be strengthened by our ties to our past, to our ancestors, to our history, to our story, to the divine. It wishes us to aspire to a better future and to treasure the bond we have with the Creator and to cherish the bond that we have between ourselves as individual. The adjustments from slavery to responsibility of freedom is something that had to take time and needed the desert also. People did not change overnight, and so does the Israeli nation. They just couldn't do it. We know that evolution succeeds while revolution usually fails. And therefore, the desert is the place where evolution started, and evolution now is gradually to continue on. The Torah is not a story separated from reality, but it is reality itself. The Torah is a journey we all must take. Without this journey, we do not grow, and without growth, there is no life. So this week portion, prepare yourselves because your past will haunt you. Whether in means of people reminding you about places you've been through or things that you've done, your history, something from your family history. People will talk to you about things that happened in the past. Those things will pop up in this portion because this portion talks about the journey we have through life. And you will need to face those things, but this time to look at them differently, to look at them with a different vantage point, to look at them with the vantage point of a person that is aware of the mistakes that he did, or that is aware of the graduated process that he needs to follow through in life. It's as if we're asked to have some sort of a trail or to be trained through time, and this portion reminds us about it. We need to understand the essence of the desert. We just walked in. Nothing is ours. Not the stones, not the sand, not the sky or the land. Everything, but everything is gracefully given to us by the divine force, by God, by the shepherd. The one that decided that the desert is the exact place to receive the Torah and to educate us from slavery into freedom, from an infant nation to a nation that can win the wars and conquer the land, the promised land. It is also the place where we learned humility and modesty, and the place that we've learned that we are completely in the hands of a greater force, a force that helps us move through the days. Now, before entering the country, the land of Israel, the Torah is defining the borders of the land and dividing the territories of the tribes, including place for the Levi tribe to dwell in, and even the cities of refugees and the territories for the Tzlofchat daughters we've learned in past portions. From the borders from the borders of Egypt, then we now enter the borders of Israel. So what is happening? So we have constantly the freedom to believe in the necessity of borders when they are divine, the gifts from the divine. That we need to learn the lesson from each step of the journey that is happening to us, not by our will, not by our force, but by the divine will and the divine force. And the borders of the Israeli nation are borders for us to be able to live in them for peace and with one another. So those are not like mental borders, but these are borders of respect to each other and respect of one another. And we have, once we enter those borders, then we have this the freedom to choose amongst these borders what we're going to do next. And the next portion we are going to have is the Dvarim. It's another book. It's a new book. It's a book that will lead us to the Elul and Tishrei month and the beautiful holidays of the new year. And that's a thing we can aspire for. So have a Shavua Tov and Shabbat Shalom, and I hope to see you next time.